I'm thinking of treating everyone to some high-end steaks. Use this black card." Cheerfully, my mother-in-law pulled out the credit card she usually uses, sending a chill down my spine. Unaware, my mother-in-law, her face flushed with alcohol, turned back to the relatives and started talking again. "This is Eliza's money, so it's all free. What should I do? Did she steal it again?" I was thinking this, but I quickly realized a fact. The card my mother-in-law was holding was already invalid. Because, that card is expired, you know? Actually, I filed for divorce last week and am now single. At that moment, I felt the air around us freeze. My name is Eliza Hudson, 30 years old. While working full-time, I am living peaceful days with my husband, Aaron. Aaron and I met in college, when we were both students. Aaron was working at the same store where I started my part-time job, and he was assigned as my mentor because we were close in age. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you. Aaron was a college student 2 years older than me. At first I was nervous, but he made an effort to interact with me in a way that didn't make me feel the age difference, making him easy to approach. "Are you okay? Have you gotten used to the job? How's college life? Are you enjoying it?" As conversations with Aaron became more comfortable, I started looking forward to what we would talk about next and began going to my part-time job with excitement. To be honest, I had special feelings for Aaron. It seems he felt the same way about me. This became clear 6 months after I started the part-time job when Aaron invited me out to eat. "I want to talk about various things. Is that okay?" "Of course." "Let's go." My heart leaped at the unexpected turn of events. After that, our relationship rapidly grew closer, and we started dating 2 months after our first meal together. Our relationship continued after we both became working adults, leading to marriage. When Aaron proposed, I wondered if it was really okay to be this happy. We decided not to have children and to live a leisurely life, just the two of us. Years have passed since then. I think I would have been happy even if we had children, but life with just Aaron is fulfilling. Even after several years of marriage, I still think I made the right choice marrying Aaron. I hoped this life would continue just as it is. However, a certain event suddenly brought a significant change to our peaceful life. My father-in-law passed away. It was incredibly hard, and I couldn't stop my tears. I met my in-laws several times a year, and each time, my father-in-law treated me warmly and cherished me as if I were his own daughter. It wasn't just my father-in-law, my mother-in-law was the same. Their warmth resonated deeply with me, especially since I seldom see my own parents. But I wasn't the only one grieving. Aaron, my mother-in-law, and other relatives were all shedding tears. Seeing the family, I was reminded of how much my father-in-law was respected. Following my father-in-law's death, Aaron and I started living with my mother-in-law. "It's been a while since we've lived in this house," Aaron muttered nostalgically. His words reached my mother-in-law, who responded, "Yes, I'm looking forward to living with you both." I thought that living with my mother-in-law would also be fun and peaceful. While excited about our new life, I devoted myself to unpacking. However, my expectations would soon be greatly betrayed. "Eliza, can't you even do something this simple?" "I'm sorry, I apologize. Housework is a wife's duty. You need to do a better job." Gradually, my mother-in-law began to treat me harshly. She assigned the responsibility of housework to me as the wife, and if something was not to her satisfaction, I was constantly nagged. "I have a job, so it's actually difficult to meet the level of housework she expects." "I'm sorry, but I have work too, so I'll do a thorough cleaning on the weekends." "I've always done it though." "That's because you were a stay-at-home wife." "Enough." "That doesn't matter. A daughter-in-law should listen to her mother-in-law. Stop talking back. If you have time, you should dedicate it to housework." My mother-in-law's transformation was like she had become a completely different person. I couldn't understand the reason behind it, "Aaron, I need to talk about your mother." "Mom." "What happened?" Feeling that suffering alone would not improve the situation, I decided to talk to Aaron. "Recently, your mom's attitude has changed drastically. She's very different from before. Was she always like this?" In fact, my mother-in-law's attitude towards me does not change even when Aaron is around. He might have noticed something, or he might know something I don't. I really wanted to improve my relationship with her, so I was interested in hearing Aaron's thoughts. "Do you know anything?" Despite this, Aaron's response was unexpected. "No, I don't know. Dad's gone and it's just chaos now. There's nothing I can do." "So, there's nothing you can do?" I felt Aaron had also changed, as if he had become a different person. The fact that he did not stop his mother's behavior was something I did not anticipate. If it were Aaron from before, he surely would have protected me. Even though it's pointless to compare the present with the past, I couldn't help but feel unwilling to accept Aaron's attitude. If you lost someone important, do you know how you might change? Can you definitively say you wouldn't become like Mom? Honestly, I can't say for certain. But just because I'm sad doesn't justify hurting others, and no matter the circumstances, there's no excuse for hurting people. You're just saying idealistic things. Mom isn't doing anything that terrible, is she? I was surprised by his unexpected objection. From his statement, it seemed that Aaron didn't feel his mother's behavior was excessive. After all, it's normal for housework to be the wife's job. I can understand why she gets angry if you don't listen to her. I've been doing household chores all along. I felt it was unfair to leave everything to your mother. You say you can't clean in detail because you work, and that it was possible for her because she was a homemaker, but that's just an excuse. Though she was a homemaker, she actually had a very busy life. Yet you keep making irrational arguments. But it's unreasonable to expect the impossible, right? I don't want to lie about being able to do something I can't, so I'm honestly saying I can't and proposing alternatives. It almost felt like Aaron was accusing me of being selfish. I didn't want to be simply brushed off, so I tried to argue back, but he only gave me a look of annoyance. Eventually, he said, "Enough. This conversation is pointless," and walked away from the discussion. Aaron's words echoed in my mind over and over. "This is pointless." I felt like there was no one in the house who understood my feelings anymore. When faced with this reality, I developed a headache. Afterward, Aaron and his mother began to direct cold remarks towards me. "I've always thought this, but the food you make is really terrible. I can't believe you'd serve this to anyone. Has it always been like this since we were alone together? Unbelievable. What kind of person are you really, Eliza?" My head hurts. I want to argue back. However, I understood that arguing would only lead to them bombarding me with heartless words and ultimately leaving me feeling even more downcast. "I'm sorry." All I could do was quietly apologize. Usually, their attitudes were intolerable, but they worsened further when alcohol was involved. "Eliza, how on earth have you managed to live up to now? You lack so much common sense. It's a wonder how you've come this far." "Do you really think so too, Mom?" "I've been thinking the same. Really. Why did I even marry someone like this? It's the worst, isn't it?" They continued to relentlessly speak ill of me, fully aware that I was in the same room. Why did I marry such a person? It's truly the worst. There must have been more decent people out there. Fed up with their repeated words, I eventually found myself able to let their comments pass without affecting me as much. I've considered divorce many times but have been unable to make a decision. Will I continue to be at their mercy forever? While being crushed by a sense of despair, I just continued living. However, one day my mother-in-law committed an unforgivable act, and it fundamentally changed my thinking. This situation completely altered my view of Aaron and my mother-in-law. Half a year after we began living together, unbelievably, it came to light that my mother-in-law had been withdrawing money from our joint savings. Feeling that I could not overlook this, I confronted her in front of Aaron directly. Why are you using our money without permission? I'm supposed to be managing the cash card and the bank book, so how did you find their hiding place? Oh, you're worried about that. It's nothing. We live together, so it's only natural, right? Natural for what reason? Did you tell her everything, Aaron? Even the passwords? Yes. Well, I did, but so what? Aaron admitted it nonchalantly, laughing. Why? You don't know what will happen next, do you? What did Mom use it for? She replaced the TV and DVD player in the living room with new ones and bought some new clothes. But it was only about $5,000, so it's not something to get so upset about, right? Are you saying it's okay because it's only $5,000? Do you know how hard it is to save up $5,000? That's an exaggeration. Aaron and his mother laughed off my complaints. Their attitude only made my anger grow. It's not an exaggeration. What are you talking about? Most of that savings came from money I worked hard to earn. It may be legally considered marital property, but then Mom has the right to use it. Not at all. It would have been better if she had at least consulted me. But to proceed without saying a word. How can you both be so calm about it, thinking it's okay not to tell me anything? Does Mom realize she's acting like a thief? Thief? As soon as that word came out, his mother started pretending to be hurt and began to cry, calling me a thief. How terrible. Hey, what are you doing making Mom cry? Calling her a thief. That's a terrible thing to say. Mom is lonely because Dad passed away. Yet, why would you say such a thing? So because she's lonely and sad, everything is excusable. It can't be helped. I couldn't help but sigh at that selfish reasoning. Regardless of the reason, criminal acts are not excusable. If the same thing were done to you by my parents, would you accept it? You wouldn't, right? That's a different story. It's the exact same thing. Don't talk nonsense. Calm down. Despite the situation worsening because of his mother, it often seemed like I was the only one overreacting, and I was seething with anger inside. Hey, this is happening because of you, mother-in-law. Why are you acting like it's none of your business? And it's $5,000. Please return it soon. If it's just $5,000, you can pay it back, right? I don't have a job, so. Sell the TV and clothes then. You admitted earlier that's what you spent it on, right? Aaron, you said you gave her the PIN, right? It's too late to claim it's none of your business now. My mother-in-law looked displeased, but it seemed like my message had finally gotten through. All right, I'll pay it back eventually. Eventually. Isn't that better than not paying it back at all? Look, give me a month. I hadn't expected my mother-in-law to make a concrete proposal about when she would pay after asking for the refund. Please make sure to pay it back in 1 month. Don't forget. All right, Aaron, you hear that too? Yes. At that moment, I decided to trust my mother-in-law. After all, such straightforwardness from her was rare. But that night, I regretted trusting her even a little. Isn't it scary how she demands the money back? It's truly unpleasant. For just $5,000? Can you believe how narrow-minded she is? We're letting her live with us. She should be more generous. That night, Aaron and his mother drank more than usual, and their criticisms of me intensified. As always, despite my presence there. Really, I don't want to live with someone like Eliza anymore. Maybe we should get divorced? Then she'll be a stranger and we wouldn't have to pay her back, right? It was the first time Aaron mentioned divorce, and it stirred up turmoil within me. Even though I had considered divorce, hearing it said aloud made me feel complex emotions. Following that, his mother continued the conversation. That might be a good idea. I never wanted a daughter-in-law like Eliza anyway. Why don't we take this opportunity to get a divorce? I agree. In just a moment, the conversation between the two made me feel that this might be the perfect time to separate from Aaron. Are you really considering a divorce? Yes, I am. I heard that clearly. Is that a threat?" They exchanged mocking words again. I turned away from their words and went to fetch something. A week later, Aaron and his mother left the house in the afternoon without any explanation to me. Where they were going was none of my business. While hearing their cheerful voices, I was checking social media. About an hour later, I received an unexpected call from my sister-in-law, Carla. I was wary because Carla, who usually doesn't contact me much, was calling, and I wondered if something was wrong. "Hello, is that Carla?" Surprisingly, Carla's voice was very cheerful. "Hello, Eliza. How are you doing?" "Yes, I'm fine." "That's good." From the background of the call, I could faintly hear the bustle of a distant crowd. As I wondered where she was and what she was doing, Carla's location and the events taking place there became clear. "Eliza, aren't you coming here?" "Eh?" "Coming there." "Eh? Right now Aaron and your mother are inviting relatives, and they're having a big party." "A party, you say?" Just as I thought, something was happening, but Aaron and his mother hadn't explained anything to me. I immediately asked Carla where the party was being held. "Where is it being held?" "Oh, it's at the steakhouse right near the station." "That's where we're having it, at that fancy place." While I was puzzled by the sudden high-end venue for the party, I was also concerned that there wasn't any major event involving the relatives that I was aware of. "But aren't you coming, Eliza? I thought I'd invite you." "Right now, about 25 people have gathered and are having a great time." "Understood." "Thank you. I'll get ready and head over." "Okay, we'll be waiting for you." I ended the call maintaining my composure and immediately left for the steakhouse. Upon arriving and entering the restaurant, just as Carla had said, the relatives were there. I was confused about why Aaron and his mother had suddenly called the relatives and couldn't grasp their intentions. "Oh, Eliza, what's going on here?" As I stood there in shock, his mother, with a flushed face, approached me and spoke. When I asked about the real intention behind her actions, she said excitedly, "I thought I'd treat everyone to high-end steaks. I'll use this black card." Then she confidently pulled out my credit card. I momentarily found it hard to breathe. But she continued, "This is all on Eliza's money, so it's all free." However, I quickly remembered the current status of the card she was holding and my own situation, and spoke up. That card is expired, you know. Actually, I filed for divorce last week and am now single." What?" At those words, the surroundings went quiet. Immediately, she reacted. "What? You were divorced," she exclaimed loudly. It seemed as if she had sobered up. Next to her, Aaron, who was usually loud in presenting problems to me, had also sobered up and looked pale. "Indeed, the divorce is finalized." "Oh, Aaron, you say you don't remember signing the divorce papers? You wanted to split up so badly. There's no way you could have forgotten, right?" I can't remember anything." "I forgot. So maybe the divorce is invalid? Did I really sign the divorce papers? You must have signed them yourself and submitted them." I had anticipated his excuse of forgetting. "I thought you might say that. However, signing the divorce papers on someone else's behalf is illegal." "I have not done such a thing." Then that means you committed a crime. I don't remember it. Do you have proof that I signed the divorce papers?" "Yes, I do." Aaron was visibly shocked. His mother had the same expression of surprise next to him. "Just in case, I recorded the scene where you signed the divorce papers. I thought there might be a chance you would claim to have forgotten." I explained and then played a video on my phone. The video showed Aaron signing the divorce papers and declaring that this act would sever our relationship. In the video, his mother was also seen laughing, repeatedly saying, "I'm so glad you're divorcing Eliza. Do you think you can argue against this?" The divorce papers were submitted the next day, and we are now unrelated. There's also footage of you signing the papers, so denying it is futile. If there's any doubt about the divorce, why not check the family registry? It wouldn't be surprising if it's already been updated. That was me. This video must be a fake. Such a thing is impossible. Are you still going to say that? It's clear that you've disliked me from the start. Since we started living together, your behavior has worsened. At first, I thought it was because you were grieving the loss of your father, but I can't handle it anymore. While Aaron seemed resigned, his mother was still trying to make excuses. Aaron appeared to understand the situation, but his mother was in denial. Wait a minute. Do you have proof? Do you have evidence that we said those things? No, there is no evidence. Look, if there's no evidence, then it's a fabrication by you. However, considering the interactions we've had so far, who do you think people will support? You've always been overbearing, saying my daughter-in-law's money is my own, and it's become clear in this conversation that you stole my card. What do you think about that? I turned to the relatives who had been ignoring the situation until now. They had stopped eating and were focused on our conversation. However, most of their gazes were concentrated on Aaron and his mother, with many showing expressions of suspicion. Don't look at me like that. How long will you keep this childish behavior? It's embarrassing. If that's true, why have you stayed in the house all this time? Actually, I was planning to leave immediately. However, since you seem to have forgotten about the divorce, I thought it wouldn't hurt to wait a little longer before moving out. The day after signing the divorce papers, Aaron and his mother continued to throw harsh words at me from the morning and kept ordering me to do various chores. As there was no indication that they wanted me to leave, I decided there was no rush to move out until I found a room I wanted. Of course, if they had told me to leave, I would have complied immediately. By the way, I've completed the lease agreement for a room, so I plan to move out when I return home today. The move-in date has already been arranged. Do you really intend to do that? You've been complaining about me for so long, but is it that bad for you that I'm leaving your house? You're really selfish. To think this was your hidden true nature. I was preparing to leave until I received a call today. I'll be done soon, and I thought today was the right time to move. Aaron and his mother started to panic as they learned about my departure. Clearly, they would be troubled by my absence. Without me, who had been handling the household chores and serving as a means for them to relieve stress, they would struggle. Putting aside the housework, I'm not here just to help them alleviate stress. Are you satisfied with the resolution of the divorce matter now? No, not yet. Just to be clear, I have no intention of coming back. No matter how much we continue this conversation, it's just repeating the same things over and over. Aaron listened silently to my words. So can we end the discussion about the divorce here? Next, let's talk about the card, Mother. At that, his mother's face changed. Did you enter my room while I was away? That card was in my room. That is. Your slow response is as good as an admission, isn't it? You rummaged through my room while I was at work, and you didn't just stop at stealing money. To describe it as stealing money is. How much explanation is needed for them to understand? I continued to explain. I've said it multiple times, but the fact remains that you stole from me, right? You also took the credit card. If you were so confident about treating everyone using that card, shouldn't you have checked its expiration date? There's no way I could have gotten the expiration date wrong. Do you remember what month it is today? It's October. The card you have expired in September. I manage all usable cards, and the only card you could have taken was an expired one. I always replace my cards as soon as the new ones arrive, and I was about to dispose of the old one. His mother looked at the card, her face trembling. But I checked. She repeated that she had checked. However, the fact that the card was already expired remains unchanged. Are you sure you checked? Stop making a fool of my mother. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. It's just that I found it a bit amusing. So you are mocking me. There's another point that I find strange, something that only I seem to have noticed. By the way, I've been meaning to ask. But that's not a black card, is it? In fact, the card his mother had was not a black card. Normally, black cards are owned only by very wealthy people. There's no way I would have such a card. A. It's not. But it's black. His mother suddenly became flustered and raised her voice. I saw an advertisement for a similar card before. It mentioned black something. I've seen Eliza using it, so it must be right. There have been advertisements for black cards before, but it only looks similar. I remember that advertisement too. The design is similar, but it's a different card. But there's no way I could have a black card. I'm just a regular employee. You should understand why if you think about it. While it might be possible for an ordinary employee to have a black card, in my case, it's different. I wish they would know better. This is nothing but the result of succumbing to temptation. Fortunately, it was an expired card that was stolen, and it's frightening to think that my mother-in-law could have taken and used a credit card that is still valid. So how do you intend to handle this payment? By then, she had believed she was using an expired black card for payment. Hey, Aaron, what are you going to do now? This was planned by the two of you, right? You're responsible too. When I turned the issue to Aaron, he was so shocked that he trembled. Mom, what should we do? The fact was, the two of them had no savings. As I quietly observed their reactions, his mother hesitantly suggested, "Let's split the bill. Everyone has ordered various things." Yes, that's a good idea. If we split it, no one loses out. It's rare to encounter such a selfish proposal. But, wait, split the bill? You invited us saying you were treating us, so you should pay. Naturally, her suggestion was not accepted. Triggered by one relative speaking up, others also began to voice their dissatisfaction. What should we do? Actually, we don't have any money. Under the pressure of the relatives' stern voices, Aaron and his mother seemed to start strategizing. At that moment, Carla, who had been silent until now, began to speak. "I will cover the cost." Carla's expression conveyed her anger. This was something my own family did, and it seems we've caused quite a nuisance to Eliza. Carla, thank you. Her mother breathed a sigh of relief and approached Carla. However, Carla stepped back, maintaining some distance. Don't get carried away. I'm only fronting the money because otherwise it would cause trouble for the restaurant. This is not payment, it's just covering the cost. It would be embarrassing if we made a scene about not being able to pay. So, please sign this. Carla took out a pen and paper from her bag and wrote "I-O-U" prominently. Come on, what's this? An IOU seems a bit much, doesn't it? People who are not likely to repay need at least this much. According to what Eliza told me, you steal money and don't return it, right? It seems you have no intention of paying it back. We plan to repay it within a month. You're joking. If you really intended to repay, you wouldn't misuse Eliza's card in the first place, would you? It's clear that your words don't match your actions. As Carla was opposed to her mother's words, she began to write the IOU. She then took out another piece of paper from her bag and again wrote "I-O-U" on it. Eliza, let's make sure everything is written down properly and get them to agree to pay back the money. Since you're planning to leave today, we should make sure all precautions are in place before they can escape. Thank you, truly. Thinking back, I realized that when I first noticed the misuse of the savings, I should have immediately prepared an IOU and obtained a signature. Although I had almost given up on recovering the $5,000 after the divorce was finalized, Carla's suggestion had enlightened me. Afterwards, Carla prepared the IOU for my sake as well, handing 2 pieces of paper and pens to Aaron and his mother. The IOU clearly stated the repayment amount and the deadline of 1 month. Neither of them seemed pleased, but perhaps feeling that there was no other way out of the situation, his mother reluctantly took the pen. Just a moment. But at that instant, Carla stopped her mother's hand. Looking around, Carla pulled out her smartphone and started recording Aaron and his mother. I want to avoid any claims of not remembering this later, just like with the divorce papers. We have witnesses here since the relatives are gathered, but having a video will ensure there's no problem. It felt very reasonable to me. We don't need a video. You two have caused enough problems already. Now, please sign. With no choice left, his mother accepted the inevitable and signed the IOU with trembling hands. All right, both are now signed. I'll stop the recording. Carla turned off the camera and began speaking with a sense of resolve. I've decided to cut off my involvement with both Aaron and our mother. But only after the full repayment of the money. While I can't erase the blood ties and fully cut off relations, I will no longer contact you two after this. You've treated Eliza terribly and acted as if nothing was wrong. I see no reason for Eliza to lie, and there's no benefit for her in doing so. Carla stated quietly. To think that someone connected to them by blood would believe in me over her own family. But there's no concrete evidence that I've done anything terrible, is there? Carla's comment might have been casual, but it struck a deep chord with her mother, seemingly a significant blow. She probably never expected to hear such words from her own child. Aaron, too, seemed to have sensed something, as he silently bowed his head. Please make sure to repay the full amount within the deadline. If you don't have the money, borrow it. If you try to escape, we will take legal action. Yes, understood. You will properly repay Eliza too, right? To this query, Aaron and his mother quietly nodded. I'll support you through a lawyer I know if there are any issues, Eliza. Thank you very much, Carla. The usual liveliness seemed to have vanished. Aaron and his mother remained silent, heads down. They both seemed smaller than usual. Afterwards, I expressed my gratitude to the relatives and Carla, then immediately returned home. I packed my belongings and moved to a suitable hotel. I arranged with the real estate agent to move into my new place as soon as possible, deciding to stay at the hotel in the meantime. That night, I received an email from Carla, who was concerned about me. Despite the lack of much interaction before, I was moved to tears by her thoughtfulness. A week later, Aaron contacted me. He wanted to invite me home to repay the debt, but I preferred to avoid a meeting with all three of us and asked to change the location to a family restaurant. Initially reluctant, he eventually accepted my request, and I felt relieved. Please check this. Upon arriving at the family restaurant, Aaron handed me an envelope filled with a significant amount of money. His mother also apologized. I'm truly sorry. I'm sorry, Eliza. For my selfish behavior and for taking the money. I wasn't surprised by their apologies. Given the events of the past few days, I had anticipated they might apologize. I had also predicted what they might say next. Can we perhaps start over? It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I thought you might say that. But we are truly sorry. What do you think? What do I think? True remorse is shown through actions, not just words. It seems you haven't understood anything. With my firm declaration, Aaron appeared restless, and his mother looked down. Now that the money has been repaid, I will be leaving. Wait. There's still more to talk about. There's nothing more to discuss. By the way, I will inform Carla about this. As soon as I mentioned Carla's name, they quieted down. They were probably afraid of what other relatives might say. I left them there and immediately returned home. Thanks to the moved-up move-in date, I was already enjoying life alone in my new apartment. While relaxing in the living room, I contacted Carla. Carla, I've just met with Aaron and his mother, and I've finally received the money. Really? That's great. It looks like everything has been resolved smoothly. Carla spoke with a relieved tone. Without Carla's support, the situation might not have gone as smoothly. It's likely that I wouldn't have gotten my money back either. We exchanged words of gratitude. Even after the resolution of the incident, my friendship with Carla continued. We began spending more time together, becoming as close as best friends. Carla told me. I heard from relatives that Aaron and Mom are going around borrowing money from relatives to pay off their debts, Despite Carla's declaration to sever ties with Aaron and her mother, she still keeps informed about their situation through relatives. It appears their relationship has deteriorated significantly since the incident. I wondered why they continued to live together despite such a strained relationship, but I realized it must be for economic reasons. A year has since passed. I continue to enjoy a peaceful life on my own, unchanged from before. My relationship with Carla remains strong, and I haven't heard any new stories about Aaron and his mother. It's certain they are still living together. Should any problems arise, I'm sure the relatives will contact me immediately. It seems they are living quietly. Oh, by the way, about the upcoming holiday. Carla proposed for us to go on a trip together soon. The bitter experiences we shared have deepened our friendship. While I can't forgive them, gaining a valuable friend like Carla makes me genuinely happy. I hope these days last forever. With that hope, I continue to live positively each day.